Welcome to today's live. I haven't been live, I think, in 2 or 3 weeks now. You guys are hopping on pretty fast. Hey, 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 hey. I haven't been live in a minute. I think I've only been live 2 or 3 times since I've been back here on Substack, and I was intending on being on camera today, but the way it ended up, I was like, would they rather have me live looking a mess, or should we just do audio? So here we are with audio. Hey, come on in. Make sure you guys share it with a friend, send someone the link, let them know we're here. So there are several subconscious blocks that really plague many. And I'm gonna go over one today, but I'm gonna tell you the one that most think about automatically, and then we're gonna go over another one. These subconscious blocks are blocks that not only will stop your money, but they also will halt everything around your success, whether it's in entrepreneurship, whether you're in corporate America, whether it's relationships. The thing about subconscious blocks is they work to do one thing, and it's to the and maybe we shouldn't even call it a subconscious block. Just that's a term I think people are safe with, people feel good with. But the reality is, it's not a block on the subconscious part. The subconscious is only doing what it knows to do. And so what's blocked is the thing that you desire. That's what's blocked, is unable to get through, or you're unable to get to it because of your subconscious beliefs that I guess we'll say it's not your fault. Um, if you've been here for a while, you've heard me talk about subconscious beliefs come through 3 different ways. And quick review: epigenetics, aunts, uncles, parents, grandparents is literally in your cellular DNA. Then you have from 7 months gestation to 7 years old. And then everything after that has been to further cement in those epigenetics in 7 months gestation to 7 years old, or your beliefs that have come after 7 have come with a strong emotional input. So something happened that was emotionally heightened, and whatever that thing was around there created a belief in your subconscious. And unfortunately, that's almost always trauma. It's always a traumatic situation that embedded into your subconscious some sort of belief. Okay. So the block that we all know about, and again, I wasn't even going to hit on it, but I know we know about it, but maybe we should talk about it just for a second, and then I'll go to the one that I'm going to talk about today. Now, it's a laundry list of beliefs that will block us from the things that we desire, a laundry list, but specifically success. But there are only 3 or 4 that's like the core, the seed of them, okay? So the one that most of us have heard about on some level is worthiness, this underlying sense of I'm not worthy. The belief normally sounds like, I don't deserve this. Who am I to have this? What did I do to get this? It's this attachment to, I have to do A in order to get B. But here's the trick: nothing you do will be worthy of that. So it doesn't matter if you were to run a marathon. It doesn't matter if you were to be the next person on the moon. It doesn't matter if you were to get to Jupiter and walk around. You will never be worthy, because that belief that you're not worthy really has nothing to do with your physical output. I hope that makes sense to you. Okay. Hey guys, come on in, come on in, come on in. All right. So that's the wild thing about subconscious beliefs. People try to outwork their subconscious beliefs. They try to outwork this worthiness factor. And I think about it in a space of being in an expert industry, creating courses. This tends to look like you trying to overfill everything that you are putting out. Well, maybe if I'm going to charge this, then maybe I need to add more to it, because intrinsically there is a belief that you don't deserve this amount unless all these things. It can't just be about the expertise, and it cannot be just about the thing you walk away from. Let me give you a quick little example. So you guys know I've been on the high ticket realm since 2011. I feel like a lot of people hear high ticket now, but it's just such an old thing. My first 100K program, I believe, was in 2013 or 14. So that's how long it's been since I charged 100K for the very first time. So the conversation of high ticket is not a new one, even though people wear it in the ground like it is. Well, the number of clients who would come to me, and one of the first things we would do is come up with the framework. And this is when I was still on the business and marketing side only, right? From time to time, I do have business clients, corporate clients that I help with their marketing. But for the most part, you guys know I'm here on the metaphysics side, the neurometaphysics side now. But clients would come to me and we would do their framework and we'll create their pricing. That would be the very first thing we would do on the very first call. And I would say at least 80 to 90% of the people I would hop on that call with would have a very hard time with even a $4,000 or $5,000 price point. Now, mind you, they're paying me typically for this that we're doing. We were most likely on the onboarding call of a 8-week program, and my 8-week program was 10,000. So they most likely was creating a 6-week, 8-week, 10-week, 12-week program, and they would struggle with 4 and 5,000. And they would just say, well, do you think it's enough in there? Maybe I don't know enough. And it's like, but we came up with your framework. And this is the thing that you've been teaching or have your education and your expertise for years. But they would want to feel the program with so many things. But that was an issue of a worthiness issue, not of teaching the program, not of anything like that. It was literally feeling like they were not worthy for the amount of money that they were charging. And then when we started going through, we would break it down on signing this many people into the program and what this looks like on a quarterly basis. And they would recognize in the business model we were setting them up in. And I am a big believer in the front end back end system. And typically in a front end back end system, you are looking at minimum at least 100. And this is on the low end. This is if you're only signing a couple clients. You're looking at least 70 to 100 a month in your business. Okay. Using that front end back end system. As soon as they began to hear that, it's like all these fears, all these things will pop up. And it was all around this ideology of who am I to have that I'm making 100,000 a year at my corporate job or 80,000 a year at my corporate job. And you're telling me I can do that in a month. And it would stop people from moving forward and doing the work that was necessary. That's where the term block comes from, because again, the subconscious is not what's blocked, but the belief will block you from doing the work that's necessary. And it usually comes from messages that you have to earn or love, or you have to earn love and attention. You have to earn resources. And one of the things I would often tell clients, and something you may want to adopt, and you have probably heard me say this before, is you get to be wealthy just because. Like, sit with that for a moment. You are worthy of wealth just because. You don't have to be special. You don't have to have any gifts and talents. How many people are born into this world into wealth and like they're arm baby with wealth with no gifts and talents that anybody know of? They're just, gaga goo goo. You are worthy just because. How does it even feel to sit with that thought? It's uncomfortable for so many people. And so you'll often hear me say that. And I say this around money. I say this around success. I say this around love. Like, babes, you are worthy just because. You are God's child. You are created in God's image. You don't have to do any performance tricks. That's why I've never been with the whole Instagram Reels, TikTok. We're not dancing for attention. I'm sorry. Unless that's what you like your thing. You're trying to get some sort of contract or something. I'm not if I have to do all that for some money, that's like prostitution for me. And that's doing something I don't want to do, giving something that I don't want to give in order to receive some money. Like, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. You are worthy just because. All right. It comes from often people with siblings have this issue, or even parents who are teachers, and it's them being compared unfavorably to their brothers or sisters or peers. It's interesting because I think about one of my friends I grew up with. Like, I love her so much. She definitely had like her career path known and was going for that career path from the very beginning. We were in first, second grade. She knew she wanted to be a teacher. Like, she came straight out of school, was a teacher. Within 5 years, was an assistant principal. Another year, she was a principal. Now she sits on the board. Then she was president of the board. Like, her career trajectory has like gone. She was an overachiever from elementary school, and everyone knew it. And the number of people who I used to hear them say to kids, like, you should be more like Karita. You should be more like Karita. Well, she was a real friend of mine. Karita was stressed. They stressed Karita out. Like, her older sister was even compared to her. When we do things like that as parents, we are creating unconscious and subconscious beliefs within our children that somehow they're not enough. They have to overachieve in order to get. And that's not necessarily true, right? Let's see. I know I may sound crazy to people, but that's what I tell God. I said, those are his promises to me. I use biblical verses provided. Yes, I laugh saying that I am serious. Thanks to you, I recognize that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, just because you're God's child, you are enough. And yet, worthiness, again, is the one I know we've all heard of. It's probably the number one thing. Even if they'll hear, oh, I know I'm worthy. I know I'm worthy, but you don't have it. And then I hear you say those little comments, of, well, I gotta add more. And what about this? And what about that? Like, we're not good enough. Like, you're a bad girl, you're a bad boy. Like, no, you are deserving just because. Another place it comes from is conditional approval. I'll love you when. This is why narcissistic relationships are like horrible, because it's literally, when you do A, I'll do B. I'll give you B. Think about our kids. I'm like, it's so important that you tell your kids you love them regardless. Now, this is where we as humans get it messed up. My love does not mean acceptance of your BS. But I love you anyway. And I think that's where people conflate things. Okay. That's just a side note. Because I also see people who are in acceptance of a lot of things their children do, a lot of things that their loved ones do, but they're in acceptance of their mess. They're in acceptance of their BS. And acceptance and love is not the same thing. As a matter of fact, your acceptance might actually be the opposite of love. Okay. And then family beliefs around humility. And I have never liked the word humble. One of my friends who's a pastor, he's a mentor as well. One day he asked me how I felt about humility, and I started laughing. And he said, "Never mind, I know you. Never mind." And he was preparing his sermon for the week, and I was like, "Mm." I said, "Have you ever looked up the meaning today?" Now, the meaning on what it should have been was one thing, but have you looked up the meaning today? Absolutely not. Nope. I am not willing to lower myself. Is to lower oneself. Absolutely not. I will sit at the feet of God. I will sit at the feet of a teacher to learn, but that is not making myself be less than. This honoring the wisdom, the knowledge. I hope you guys understand the difference there. But in a lot of families, you are taught, stay in your place, and your place is over there doing that in that way beneath me. So I don't know. Will this live be saved? They're typically automatically saved, I believe, and I believe it will email to you, but I don't always trust technology. Not always. So let's just say it's supposed to, and if so, it will email out to you. All right. Here is how it shows up. And I gave you a couple already. The undercharging, undercharging and over delivering, undercharging and over delivering. Right? And especially without a plan. Like, I think about here inside of this community, I give you guys so much. Part of that is because I'm in building mode, community building mode. But that's why I always tell you when it's like, hey, when you join over here, this is actually what this includes. Right now, we're in community building mode. I'm giving a lot so people will know, like, hey, this is where you want to be. This is where you need to be. But people get into a habitual space of undercharging and over delivering. And unfortunately, it's not getting them or their clients the results they want, right? Apologizing for your pricing. This is another way this shows up. Well, so the investment will be $10,000, but let me tell you why it's that. Like, let me tell you why. N- By the time I got to the investment, you should know why. Because I have this service, I have this thing that you need. And I'm the only one who can give it to you in this kind of way. I'm the only one who can help you get the results in the way you need. There is no one else. I often tell people there are a lot of people who are talking about manifestation, who talk about God, who will mention subconscious reprogramming, who talk about the quantum realm. They are literally just repeating it from somebody else. They heard it in a video. There are literally right now that I know of probably only about 7 people with their PhD in this specific thing right now with the expertise in order to get it. And I am one of them. And I can say that confidently. I am not like doing backflips to get you to sign up. Like I'm just not going to do that. Okay. I'm not apologizing for my pricing. Yes, in order to work with me for a full year, it's over $200,000. People have been paying it now for several years privately. Not apologizing for that. You either get it or you don't. And if being in the community and seeing my knowledge and understanding and seeing how lives have changed just in the free community or just in the community that is, $40 a month, if you can't see it that a life transformation is worth it, if you have it, that's the thing. Like that's also the other thing. If you can't see it, then great. That's fine. It's not for you. My work is who it's for. And that's the mentality you need to move forward with. Knowing who your client is. I know that 200K client is not everybody, which is why I have other offerings that other people can fit in. You need to know who your client is before a lot of people that know who their client is. They're talking to their client and then they will apologize for their pricing. And you know what? That is not attractive, actually. I feel like it's a repellent. When you do all that apologizing for your pricing, you seem that you lack confidence around what your pricing is. Okay. Next, which ties right in, you attract people who don't value you. Absolutely not. When you get rid of this worthiness issue, people who don't value you, potential clients who don't value you, you quit talking to them. We are not talking to people who want to stay at $0 all the time. This is why I don't go live often. This is why I may do something like this week and then I'm done and I still don't go into as much because it creates this community of people who feel like all of your information is just free, 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 free. Like they believe that they don't value your information. You have to be careful. It is a very fine line between giving information that is the base information so people can understand why this transformation is needed versus let me give you the entire transformation. Right? That's like going into a hospital getting a surgery and you're having to hire the doctors and the surgeons and then the medicine and then the surgical assistants, all the people, the team that go along with that. But then you showed up like, oh, but I'm not going to pay for it. Absolutely not. That's not going to happen. It's kind of like that. And you have to think that way about your work in the world. It's worth it. You are the physician that's treating an illness, a sickness, a disease, and your treatment actually is what heals that disease. Does that make sense for you? Hey, Amanda, I see you just popped in. Self sabotaging before your breakthrough? How often have you seen yourself self-sabotaging before you get to the point? It's this story, it's always talking about being like 1 foot from literal gold, GOLD, not GOAL. And it's an image shows where it's these two sets of men, and one set literally got tired a foot from, if they had taken the little pick and they're digging into the rock. They were literally right there at the goal, and the other group of men kept going and they got to the outcome that they desired. So often we will self-sabotage, we will stop. And the crazy thing about the subconscious is you'll self-sabotage without even recognizing you're self-sabotaging. Your health will start declining, you'll catch a cold, like all these issues will come up. The number of times it's things that I know I'm supposed to be doing in my business, and I'll all of a sudden get sleepy, and I have to say, absolutely not. We are moving, we are getting up, we are pushing past this. And then I have to say, why? What's really happening here? What's going on here? Why am I? And it's always in these moments. What's really happening? What's deeper here? What is the deeper issue? If this makes sense. Okay. I'm starting over like you because the people I were attracting were not valuing me. I shifted and I knew I was attracting a new audience. Exactly. Exactly. You have to very often. It's somebody else who is on Substack and she's on Facebook with me, an associate, and she started around the same time we both decided we were just starting all over. And the reality is because sometimes your audience, they get used to the way you've been doing things. And I tell people all the time, if you're expecting me to do things like I did last year, that was the old Stephanie. Welcome to the new Stephanie. How are you? Got to meet the new one. We are not doing things the old way. And when a lot of times people have resistance to you changing, and my mentality is always, just because you don't change don't mean I won't. I am always ever evolving as a human. We should be. This is where growth happens. And as we learn and we grow and we evolve, and there are new ways to do things and we learn lessons, we should be changing things. What is it? Nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. But I always then follow it up. But God is the only thing that remains the same. I don't. And I shouldn't. And neither should you. Okay. Here's one that we talked about a little bit during faith and finances, is as soon as money comes into your hand, you're getting rid of it. Because even if you manage to do the strategy, do the work, bring in more money, why is it that you're still at the same place that you were when you said you needed to start making more money? Self-sabotage. You are literally spending the money when you get it, and you will have the most logical reasons. They make all the sense. That is a subconscious issue. That is a subconscious problem. It's a subconscious belief, and your subconscious is working to keep you safe, and keeping you safe is keeping you in that space where you don't have as much as you truly desire. Okay? And the pattern literally looks like you get close to what you want, very close. You can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it, you know it's there. And then unconsciously, you create a reason why you can't have it or you don't deserve to keep it. And I know we all know examples of this that looks like lottery winners who will get a lump sum of money, literally blow through it, and they're back where they started. You have people like people in sports all the time. We don't talk about it with entertainers. And we need to start having this conversation. I have it privately with people all the time. You have to question yourself and ask yourself why you are now seeing quote unquote famous award winning actors who are live on TikTok every day. Why are you seeing these people now all of a sudden they're doing stuff that us quote unquote regular people are doing to make money? Why? Why? Because even they overspend to look a certain way. And now they're out here trying to get money. And very few will be honest about it. There have been some, but very few are honest about it, that they literally blow through their money. And you would think a person like an actor or someone, a musician, the reality is if you're not making money and touring and doing things, you're unemployed in the moment. If you're not on a TV show or on a movie, you're unemployed for the moment. So you would think that they would make enough money and they would budget the money appropriately. No, because now they're under the social pressures as well. they self-sabotage as well, okay? So, I just wanted to hit on the worthiness one, which is one I know we know a lot about, but I'm sure you heard something that resonated with you even with all we hear about worthiness. The one I wanted to share with you guys today is the safety block. And I mentioned it a little bit when we were talking about worthiness. And it is the belief, the unconscious and subconscious belief that keeps you safe. And it's typically something like success isn't safe for me, money or having money isn't safe for me. And this one is huge. Visibility isn't safe for me. Or often that change is dangerous, that somehow by you changing, by you up leveling, by you being around a new set of people, doing something different, living somewhere different, that it is dangerous. Now, again, it is subconscious and unconscious. So you may hear this on a conscious level and think this makes no sense. And yet there is an underlying belief and an underlying knowing, because that subconscious belief is equivalent to the truth. Your mind thinks it's the truth. Your body thinks it's the truth. And don't forget, what our subconscious beliefs are is what is mirrored in the physical 3D, which is why when you can start programming into your subconscious that you are bringing in $1,000 a day, or you're bringing in 2,470 a day, whatever it was to come up with 1 million, or, you're generating 7 figures on a conscious level, you'll get it. But until you begin to program that into your subconscious, it doesn't show up in the 3D. But you cannot be that person as of yet in the physical and program that in, and it becomes the reality in the 3D, because your subconscious does not know the difference between what's true and what's not. So a lot of you are dealing with that issue. And it typically comes from one of four things. It's witnessing someone get hurt by money, success, or visibility. And for a lot of you, if you didn't grow up knowing people with money and success, it mostly was around being visible. You don't want to be seen too much. You want to be quiet. You don't want to let the left hand know what the right hand's doing. All those different things. The number of people I know who's building in their business, or they want to build their business more, but they won't post on social media because they don't want to be what? Seen, specifically by family and friends. That is a visibility issue. Your family's fear-based reactions around risk or change. How many of you literally, like, everything in you reacts when it comes to risk, specifically risking money? My God, y'all act like spending a couple dollars like it is never coming back to you again. It's actually, if you can step outside of yourself, if you can step outside of yourself and witness how you act about investing in yourself, how you act about investing in your business, which is odd and strange because you don't act like that about buying food. You don't act like that about buying Beyonce tickets. But if it comes to something that is actually into pouring into you and your knowledge and your education, all of a sudden it's risky. And like everything in you begins to react. That's how you know that there is a underlying subconscious belief issue, because that makes no sense. Like none. Chick-fil-A, I went to Chick-fil-A and got a kids meal. I got a kids meal with a pineapple dragon fruit lemonade, and it was $9. And I literally was like, dang, that's a kids meal. Now, when I go and I get a whole meal and it's like an adult meal and it's mine and it's Caden's together, it's right at $20. Y'all will not want to spend $20 on something that pours into your education and pours into making you the most successful version of you, but you'll go to Chick-fil-A on a regular basis. You'll do that. And I use that as an example because there has never been a time I went to Chick-fil-A and that line was not around the building. Ever. Ever. Listen. Okay, I'll spend on self-care or some sort of knowledge, but I have shifted to that. I went to Chick-fil-A today for the first time. I hadn't even really been eating out unless somebody else take me. I cook at home. I got what do they say? I got food at home. I got food at home. Why am I going out? Unless it's like a business meeting or something. I have a business meeting for dinner tomorrow and I don't even want to go. I'm trying to stay fine. I got another 40 pounds to drop. I'm not going to be out here eating. No. Absolutely not. But my education, I tell people I literally want to be so disgustingly intelligent. I want to get on people's nerves with the level, the amount of intelligence that I have. And I am so curious about so many things in life. I really am a very well-rounded person. I don't know if my friend Lakeisha's on here, but I know she's in the Stillwell. She was saying yesterday, she was like, you really are creative. Like people say that, but girl, you exemplify that. I am well rounded in all areas. Like I will invest in my education when it comes to I call it my continuing education units, just like, doctors and nurses, medical doctors and nurses, but I'm pretty consistently in some sort of course or class, u upper level course or class to learn more about the brain, to learn more about neuroscience that doesn't necessarily even connect to what I'm teaching in this way, but I'm curious into that. I am always in some sort of creative class, whether it's art, whether it's music, pottery. Like I will forever be this person. I invest in books. I read a lot of literature. I almost don't even care what it is. This is me. I'm going to read a lot of literature. I read nonfiction books. I read self help. It is my normal. And I love to be in my Bible bag. So then I'm always studying my Bible. Then I'm buying accompanying things to go with the Bible to help me understand and get deeper in my Hebrew because I want to be so disgustingly intelligent, but that's my personality. Okay, that's my personality. So I never understand people when they struggle with investing in themselves because baby, you are all you have. You are all you have. Sit with that. But you won't invest in you? Whew. Next is trauma around being seen or standing out. A lot of people have gone through issues as children around being seen. And then learning that staying small or playing small, it equates to staying safe. And something I want to tell you about that is safe people do not make a mark on the world. And you may be one of those people who want to stay safe, and you may be one of those people who want to stay quote unquote normal. My people don't want to be normal. My people in my community and around me, they want to be like the best at the work that they do in the world. Even if they work in corporate, they want to be the best at the work that they do in the world. Even if they want to be the best at making money there, then going in to invest in things to make them more money. Like they want to be the best person that they can be and well rounded. My people, they're just not comfortable with being small. And if you are, you're just probably not my person, and that's okay. That's okay. But when you play small, safe is where you're going to be. And safe, you are not making a move, you're not moving the needle, and no one's going to remember you except for your children when you pass, your family, because you won't have made a mark on the world. And it's interesting I use that example, right? I have notes here so I can stay on track, but it's interesting because that has always been like one of the things that I've always said. Like when I die, I want to have made such an impact on people that even if you didn't know me personally, it touches you that I passed. And it's a conversation I had with a girlfriend a couple days ago. I was like, I feel like the last couple years I fell back a lot, and I did just comfortable because I could. And I was like, no, God is definitely calling me for more impact, to be bigger, to be louder, to stand out more, to be seen. Because when I leave here, I want to have left such an impact that it affects people who I've touched. And this safety block, the block around, I want to be safe. Being unseen is safe. Not being wealthy is safe. Let me pause for a minute to say this. I was watching. Now some of this is just kind of common sense stuff, but I was on Lemonade, the little app Lemonade yesterday. And this woman was showing like how she saved money, and she saved money in a shoebox. And it was like two shoeboxes, and they were like full of $100 bills. And several people were on there like, now, to be clear, they were right, but this kind of ties in. They were like, get this offline right now. Like, you need to get this offline. Now, in reality, if people know who she is and know where she live, people are crazy, and especially, like, you need to know the types of people you're around, like, what's your community, right? Well, what is your community? Who do you let be around? You need to know that. But some of that is, like, common sense safety stuff, and some of the comments I saw, people were like, "It's not even safe to have that much money, like, at all, like, it's not safe," and I disagree. There's not an amount of money that's not safe for me to have. Even if I have it in a fireproof safe in my like, I just that is a belief that I refuse to take in. But it was interesting to see some people were talking about in that you're showing it and people might know where you live, and others were saying, in general, having money like that is not safe. You need to be willing to give it away to people. And it's like, well, yeah, because we often talk about you need to have in order to give. And at the same time, you need to make sure you are okay. You need your emergency funds. You need to make sure your offsprings are good, right? It's just interesting how this conversation of safety comes up around money for so many. You're not familiar with that app. It's like a spinoff of TikTok. It's like a TikTok sister. I think TikTok bought 'em, if you wanna know the truth. I think it's TikTok owns Lemonade because when they went offline for a short period of time, Lemonade went offline as well. So I think it's an actual TikTok app. The safety block here is how it often shows up for you. Sabotaging opportunities that will increase your visibility. Chronic procrastination on things that will move you forward. You see yourself there? Now, friend, I've had to work on this too. Let me just sit with this for a minute with you. I have had to work on that procrastination piece. Now, that could be a little bit of ADHD. We know that. They kind of tie in. But if you don't have ADHD and you find yourself chronically procrastinating only on things that move you forward, might want to check the safety block. Physical anxiety and panic when opportunities arise. Like your hands literally get to sweating. You may even question if it's real or not, if it's true or not. You literally would get physical symptoms, physical anxiety, and panic attacks. Now, sit with that. Your conscious mind is like, that's ridiculous. Why would you go into a panic when everything you want is coming to you? Because the dissonance is this the contrast that's happening between what your subconscious knows and believes is safe, what you consciously desire, they're not lining up. This is why alignment is so important. This is why renewal of the mind is so important. You have to ensure that what you desire consciously, what you're working towards consciously, the subconscious lines up for it. Keeping yourself just comfortable enough that you don't have to change. Because, I mean, you're doing the minimum, you're making money in your business, you're doing pretty good. Like, people are really shocked that most of my private clients that come to me, they're doing multi six figures in their business. They're like, but why? They don't need you. Baby, they want to make multi seven figures. You're comfortable with multi six. That's a stepping stone. Why not do greater if you can? It also shows up in fearing what people think about you, fearing what people think about your work, fearing what people think about the way you speak, fearing what people think about the books you're reading, the person you're becoming. I don't hide who I am from anybody, not even my family. And what's really interesting about it is over the years, I think about people like my mother, who, when I first started going on this journey a whole bunch of years ago, she absolutely, like, as God based as I am, I might not have been using the word God at that time, but I was still God based as I am. You know, I tell this often. She would hear me playing The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn, and she would be like, I don't know what kind of foolishness that is. Like, yeah, foolishness. Like, what? And several years later, 4 or 5 years later, I never cared what her thoughts were. And I will say this is the beautiful thing about, like, there some people do different things. When you're so different from your family, you either fold and you get quiet and you pretend to be the same, or you become like me and you're the rebel. And it's just like, well, you don't have to like it. This is my life. You'll be all right. I kind of latched on to that. And so it didn't matter to me who would hear me with this audiobook going, or who would see me reading it, or who would see me constantly reading the same book over and over, or who would notice that I had put down my fiction books I used to love and I was strictly not just nonfiction, but self-help. And I was always reading these dead people. Like, I did not care. Just did not care. I didn't care about people hearing me walk through my. You might be at my house and you might hear me walking through upstairs, and I'm repeating. I have a wonderful business, in a wonderful way. Like, you might hear me, you know, repeating affirmations. You may hear me doing declarations. I don't care who sees me, um, studying the Bible. So my friend Friday, I don't know what I was sending her. Oh, I was sending her something out of the Song of Solomon, which really didn't have anything to do with today. But if you have never been in the Song of Solomon, it depends on who you ask. Some people say the Song of Solomon is a letter from God to the church, but the way it was talking about, come eat my fruits in my garden, I was like, nah, we finna quit playing. We finna quit playing. Because I definitely sent that to somebody that I wasn't talking about God in the church. I was talking about eating the fruits out of my garden. But I sent it to my home girl because I was like, girl, you ever read the Song of Solomon? Like, you really ever read and studied the Song of Solomon? So I sent it to her. I was cracking up about it. And then after we had like a discussion about it, and I was doing my notes and I do my Bible journal, and she said, friend, are you really at home on a Friday night studying your Bible? And I started laughing. I was like, and am. Zero shame, zero shame. You have to carry like no fear and no shame around what people think about what you're doing to elevate yourself, to elevate your life. You cannot be in fear of what people will think, because let me tell you something. It's like a magical thing that happens. And I can tell you this as someone who's now in her 19th year in her business. As of October 11th, I was in my I'm now in my 19th year. In the beginning, people really do laugh at you. People really do be like, you need to get a job. People really will, like, they will not get it. And even when you start over, like, I'm starting over for like second or third time, when people don't get it, right? And then you don't stop and you let them talk and you don't fear what they have to say. And you keep moving forward. And it hits a point that all of a sudden those same people start asking you for advice. Like, it's not funny anymore to them. You don't look silly to them anymore. Now all of a sudden they're trying to know the secret. This is why you can't fear what people think. Because people who are stuck in that old, like that version of you who you are growing out of, you are literally moving through the quantum realm, becoming this new person. Like that old version, like they know that version of you. Of course, they don't know this version. To them, that person you're growing into, like it's not even possible. That's not even on their list of possibilities. So, of course, they think it's silly. They've never even thought about what steps it takes to get to that level of success. So, the steps that you're taking, it probably seem real silly to them. And this is why we make sure we're in communities with people who are on similar paths and growing and all about self help and doing the work and growing themselves mentally, spiritually, and physically. Because those people go get left behind and then they're questioning, they're asking. Okay. And then it also shows up in playing small to avoid criticism and judgment. And it ties back to the last one, is fearing what people think. We walk around here afraid of criticism and judgment. And it's like, well, the people who criticizing you and judging you, like what they got going on? What do they have happening? Like, for real. I have never had anyone to criticize me who was doing better than me. And it's interesting because criticism is an interesting thing. It's people who comment on, I have a couple TikToks for different things. I try to keep them separate for multiple reasons. But it's some who comment on one of my TikToks, and I'll just be like, Is that an insult? Like, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, is that supposed to be an insult? Because I've elevated so that even in your insult, I don't see that as an insult at all. Like, is that an insult? So it it's funny to you the circles that I'm in, but you know my name. I don't know your name. It that's funny. That's an insult? Really? That's where you'll get to. You cannot, like, you cannot allow people's criticism or judgment to sway you at all because I'm telling you, baby, they're doing nothing. I promise I'm not sitting up critiquing or criticizing anybody. You want to know why? Because I don't care. I don't care what they're doing. As a matter of fact, when I see people who are working towards their dreams and goals, you don't have to be where I am yet. I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you for doing the work that's necessary to get to your next level. I don't care what it is. I know people who are in all sorts of fields that I don't have any kind of knowledge about, but they are working towards their dreams and their goals. Now you might hear me say, baby, we go dream bigger than that. If I critique it's something like we go dream bigger than that, boo. God has a lot more for you. God says there is no limit. Now you might get that from me. I don't really think that's a critique. I might be prophesying into your life, might be speaking life over you. But some people think it's a critique, you know. But people who are doing better than you very seldom critique you. So when you have people who seemingly are doing better than you, and typically that seemingly means it look like they have more money. It looks like they have more. You know when you know the truth when the mess hits the fan. Some people just be scamming. Some people just scamming. They're not doing better than you. And they see you really laying the foundation to be the best version of yourself. But even that's rare because they too busy scamming and trying to figure out how to get there. Even they're busy. So you cannot play small to avoid criticism. So this is what the pattern looks like. Your nervous system associates success with danger because it's outside of what your programming is. So anything outside of what your programming is trips your nervous system because it's literally red flags and danger signals everywhere. So it works to keep you in the familiar, which is why you'll self-sabotage. Even if the familiar is not what you want, is limiting. You hear me say that all the time. People love to stay comfortable in their uncomfortability. Like they're very uncomfortable with the way things are, but it's so comfortable in the uncomfortable. It's more comfortable to stay there and complain about being there than to move into something that's uncomfortable to truly get comfortable and get peace. Tell me if y'all caught that, right? Because for most people, familiar is safe. And it's absolutely safe to your subconscious programming. It's absolutely safe to your subconscious programming. Let me scroll up and see what I miss. Yes, definitely the rebel in my family. Listen, story of my life. But they see how I work. So lately, they've been asking questions about what I'm doing. Exactly. First, they look. First, they kiki. They do all. And then now they got questions. Now they got questions. Well, and for some people, it just depending on who that they make judgments about it first before they'll come to the question. I don't know if y'all remember. I told you I don't know how new you are here, but I will never forget my older brother, not my little brother, my older brother asking me if I my God. And I blame Shirley, my mother, because I know it was during the period when she asked me if I believe in God. I told her, yeah, it mustn't look like I believed in God to her. And she told that man I worship Satan because I definitely went to her and was like, now, why you told Brian I worship? Why would you tell him that, miss? Girl, where'd you get that from? That man asked me how to worship Satan because he wanted to get the results in life that I got. And my mom was like, I'm around here talking to him because I'm concerned, and he's so damn foolish. He asking you how to worship. I was like, exactly, because you spread rumors that's not true, and he's trying to get on with Satan. I had to tell him, baby, I don't know Lucifer. I be so tickled, baby. I don't know Lucifer. What? I don't know how to take it. I don't know. Can you Google how to? I don't know. Boy, I found the game of life and how to play it, and I started following it and started leaning in and started talking to God and started speaking life over me. I don't believe in no worshiping no Satan, boy. And it was hilarious. That's why, again, it's so funny that now, even today, my mama always had a game of life and how to play a book in her purse, underlined, highlighted. It's funny because, girl, I was worshiping Satan. Remember, here you go. What you doing with Satan in your Y'all should not be that funny, but that man definitely said and wanted to know how to worship Satan. Because first they gonna be curious, they gonna make up stories, then they gonna do it too. Praise God, I ain't worship Satan for real. And it took my whole family down the wrong path. My goodness. Let's see. They sure don't, but nobody tells me to get a job anymore. Yes, it comes a point, and it will come a point that even if you hit a hard time and you say you might get a job, they gonna be like, you know how to make money. You don't have to. All of a sudden, it flips. It took time, but they began to see you through the eyes you saw yourself through. And this is why we have to stop playing small. You have to see yourself as the victor. You have to see yourself as the person who has everything you desire. You have to see the end. You have to see that person that has influence. You have to see that person. Eventually, everybody else go catch up. It's funny in the beginning because they don't see that. They only see the things you planted seeds for already. They don't see the seeds you plant now that's growing. So you have to plant those seeds, do that subconscious work, see yourself in the end. They'll catch up eventually, which is a great thing for when you have those moments later when you falter. People can remind you, baby, who you know who you are. Now they'll say, my mama would never tell anybody I worship Satan now. Like it's a running. Actually, she would probably be embarrassed that I tell people that. And she should be, because girl, why you do that? Why would you do that, ma'am? They asked me how I'm traveling all over the world with no job. I needed to hear that because I have people in my home that just don't believe in the power of your words. I literally can't wait to leave the house so that I can say out loud, not under my breath. I was just, no, baby, let me tell you. I just let the people think you crazy. Let the people think you crazy. Walk through the house. Say what you need to say. Decree and declare over your life. Life and death lies in the power of your tongue. Let them speak death over their life. We don't do that over here. We gonna speak life over our health, our business, our finances. I was telling my girlfriend, the Friday when we were talking about the Bible, I was telling her because one day I might show y'all my like I actually use my Bible as a study Bible. I sort of showed you on YouTube one day. But like I do a lot of stuff in my Bible. Like I write prayers. I have an envelope. Like I add pages to my Bible. And I have an envelope in there where I add prayers, and then when the prayers answered, I move them to prayers answered, just in case I need to be reminded about how good God is. I can go in and grab the prayers answered. And I recently started saving cash and putting cash in the Bible as a symbol. It's symbolic of literally, God, I am giving my money to you to multiply. Does that make sense to you? I'm giving my money to you to multiply. That's how serious I be. People probably think I know people think I'm crazy with this stuff, but it works. I'm on the science and I'm on the spiritual. We doing them both because they work together. But walk through your house. Speak life over yourself. Speak life over your money. Talk about the fact that you work because you want to work, not because you have to work. Like really get in a space of worship and great gratitude about the fact that you work, this work you do in the world, whether it's going to corporate, whether it is your own business, whatever it is, you do it because you want to do it. Not because you have to step into that version of you right now. Because then just think about it. What does that mean? If you are a person who you're at work because you want to be, meaning you walk off when you feel like it, you can stop when you feel like it. What type of wealth does that sound like you have built for yourself? What type of freedom does that sound like you? When I tell you, I will forever be the person that don't care how crazy I look, how crazy I sound, ever, ever. I am always speaking life over myself. And I'm just crazy enough now. I can come up with the most outlandish stuff and I believe it instantly. And I do believe it's because I've really trained my subconscious. And even in the things that it's like, oh, I got to work on it. Oh, I work on it. And I'm big into repetition. I am big into going into those moments. All the things that I'm teaching you guys in the month of November for the reprogramming challenge, I do this work. I don't just teach this work, I am this work. I am a walking representation of what happens when you choose to reprogram your belief system. I am a walking, talking, breathing representation of that. The work works. I can't tell you the last time I had a job. Even if I thought about getting a job at points. And I'll tell you the last time I had a job. You definitely got this. This tickled me. Yes, when I started over, I said, I'm gonna get a job to one of my friends, and she said, no, ma'am, I'm trying to get like you. You don't need a job. Listen, eventually they get it. And it happens to, they parrot it back to you in the moments you need it. I love that pointer. I'll incorporate that as well about putting the cash in the Bible. Listen, I mean, God be over here like, God, I'm giving this to you. I'm gonna need you to. I wish that they had $1,000 bill. God, I'm gonna need you to put all your blessings on this thing right here. On this thing right here. Right. That's just the way I move. I move in faith for everything. So for those who don't know, I don't know how you don't know if you in here at this point. Starting November 1st, we are doing what? And initially I was calling it a manifestation challenge. And then I said with the fact that, yeah, we're manifesting, we're using faith. But the reality is we are going and doing subconscious reprogramming and we're shifting your subconscious beliefs so that your physical 3D can start matching that. And of course, forever and always, we are focused on finances. We are focused on money. We are focused on success over here. That is the main thing that we are focusing on. And so if you have not registered yet, you are absolutely out your mind. Congratulations to everybody who are already registered and those who got registered before Saturday. So we could you'll have the DM support from me and everybody who's already registered. You do as well. Um, you not only get access to the 30-day challenge, which is a full program. Every day you're going to get emails, audios, messages from me. But you also have access to anything else inside of the Stillwell Society that's locked. And anybody that's been here for any amount of time know how much value is locked inside of the membership. I just feel like, to be honest, if growth is important to you, it's crazy to not be in. And it's cheap. It is. It's 300 and I think 79 or 59 for the year, which is about 150 off paying for the year, or it's $39 a month right now. And I say right now because people who have been here will tell you what that means. That's what it is right now. That does not mean it's going to stay there. It is the most affordable self-help subconscious reprogramming internal work system you will ever have the benefit of community of being inside of. And so here we blend the science and the spirituality to get to success. I've been calling it like it's the magic equation. It's the magic equation. It's science plus God. You'll get success every time. And God made the science. So there's that. Do we have any questions before we get out of here? Oh, look at me, y'all. I made an hour on the dot. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make sure I use notes the rest of the week. So I can stay on task. We would have been at 7 every day, but tomorrow, here's the magic thing. If you ever run for office and it's your first time in the political space and people know who you are, if you don't win, guess what's gonna happen? Everybody wants you to run for every thing in the world, and I'm being tapped to run for something in 27, and I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, Stephanie, I promise you, like, if you come in, we already have big donors waiting for you. And so I said I was open to a meeting, and the meeting is at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And so I made tomorrow at 12 noon tomorrow. And so just to kind of keep it up, I did another 12 noon, I think, on Friday. Plus Friday, Shabbat Shalom. I don't want to be after dark doing this. I want to be able to give my Sabbath to the Lord. And so tomorrow and Friday is noon, but it's 7 every other day. Child, U.S. president, something I would not want to be. People crazy. You got a whole group of people who go hate you. Absolutely not. I really am like, I don't know if I want it, but that's another story. I'm like, I don't know if I want to run for anything else. Let me see what people talking about. But people crazy. Absolutely. You just have too many people who go hate your guts. Not that I actually care, but in a situation like that, they try to get violent. It's like, well, no, I might not want to die. Any other questions, guys? It was such a pleasure to be here tonight. It was funny because I was getting sleepy before the call, and now I'm wide awake, like literally wide awake. If we don't have any other questions, Imma end it. I pray that the recording will post. I know I have a nice percentage of people here who are in Africa, which I believe they're 12 hours ahead, which means it's like 8 o'clock in the morning for them. Um, maybe a little more, maybe 16, but I think it's 12. You are so very welcome. If anything else comes up for you guys, the comment section when it posts will be open. So leave your questions there and make sure you tell someone about the Stillwell Society. Even if they don't come into partnership, just being here, the community, it's just always so great. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.